Good morning, everybody. This is Tom from Weekly Gospel Reflections. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Today, I want to talk about something in Ecclesiastes. We're going to talk about actually some of the things in this chapter of the Bible. It's amazing. I think everybody should read this, and things tend to become very important. So sometimes we look at life and we go through life and we work very hard on everything. And what if you passed today and you died today? What kind of legacy would you leave your family and friends? What kind of legacy would you have? And would the people actually remember you? Not only that, how many people will actually come to the service? Would you have 10 people show up? Would you have 100 people show up? Would you have 5? How many friends do you actually have? How you live in your life? Are you Christian? Are you living your life? There's so many questions in that story. I've got a couple stories I want to tell you. We'll start out this story real quick. I just decided to do this now. I feel like I need to do this now. Recently, I take people in the car that, because I've been doing Uber and Lyft, and I take people in the car, and some of the people I've known that I've got to know this last year, some I just recently met, but this particular person, I've actually seen this person on the street. And she's been off the street now 3 years. No, she was on the street 3 years. And she just recently got off the street. And she's telling me now finally she's got an apartment. She's got a place to go. She's got a job. The boss picks her up every day. She's a good worker. And she's telling me how her life was and how it is on the street. Of course, everybody on the street is trying to do, just like everybody else is doing on this earth. We're chasing the money. And we sometimes don't really realize, but that's all we do. We chase the money. We chase the money on our jobs because we want a better life. We chase the money. It's no different than me. I'm chasing the money doing rides so I can have a better life. I pay my bills and help jumpstart my family here back in the States. And doing that, it causes us to sometimes get fogged in our minds. And we need to realize that the Heavenly Father already knows past, present, and future of our lives. And He's already going to have a pretty good decision. He gives you the free will, to make a decision and change certain actions that's going down in certain paths that you may be going down. And He may be helping you along on a certain path, but on one instance, He's going to see how you do. And He's going to see if you follow the path of Christianity or you're going to follow the path of evil, wickedness. If we look at Ecclesiastes 5 verses chapter 5, and we look at verse 8, riches are meaningless. If you see the poor oppressed in a district and justice rights are denied, do not be surprised in such things, for one official is eyed by a higher one, and over them both or others are higher still. The increase from the land is taken by all. The king himself profits from the fields. Let's face it. We work in the fields, we toil in the fields, and we may die before the fields can prosper. Who gets the benefit of that? The people behind us. Hopefully your sons and daughters are there. They may not be. And that's the thing I was thinking about. Whoever loves money never has money enough. Whoever has money, in the verse 10, loves money, never has money enough. Exactly. You go through life, you got money, you get it, it's coming in, it's going out, it's coming in, going out. And whoever loves that money, it's never going to be enough. You're never going to get enough. You're never going to have enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with his income. That's so true. This too is meaningless, and it actually is. No matter what you're doing in your life, really is meaningless. No matter where you're going, what you're doing, however you're working, is meaningless because we're all biding the time, paying our mortgage, paying our rent, paying the car payments, just to maintain the life till we get old and die. And then who gets it thereafter? Will you be remembered from that time you were there toiling and working? It's a question. As goods increase, so do those who consume them. And what benefit are they to the owner, except to feast his eyes on them? Really makes you think. See, the thing that people really don't realize too, if you take a look and you go down in verses 15 and this 16 and 17. This is really something that we need to think about. A naked man comes from his mother's womb, and he comes, so he departs. He takes nothing from his labor that can carry in his hand. This too is a grievous evil. It really is. A man comes, so he departs. And what does he gain? Since he toils for the world all his days, he eats in darkness with great frustration, affliction, and anger. So, in the next verse, it says, Then I realized that it is good and proper for a man to eat and drink, because he's getting paid for the toils he does. We sometimes don't think about how we choose to live for the money. I'm a firm believer in everybody not only living life, but not to exist in life, but live life to the fullest. Every day you need to take that moment, enjoy that life in that moment, because it may be the last breath you'll ever take, even at any age. I don't care, 20, 30, 40, right? So, will the kids be there when you're gone? Will the kids actually show up at your funeral? Do you want them to be there? Of course you do. So God puts you on a path. He's going to make sure that you understand things. He wants you to worship Him. And He'll take care of you. He doesn't, if you look in the same thing, you guys remember this time for everything. There's a time for everything and a season for everything. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to uproot, a time to kill, and a time to heal, a time to tear down, a time to build, a time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance. So you can read down through all the way through verse 8 of these. Time is what we have, and we only have so much of it here on this earth. Coming, and as you have your friends, if one falls down, does your friend going to help you up? But pity the man who falls and no one has to help him up. That's in verses 4 in the same chapter 4, verses 10 to 12. Verse 11. Also, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of three strands is not quickly broken. What's that verse saying? Saying, sometimes what I take it as, people can take it different things, but I take it as someone, when you find you a friend, hang on to that friend, help the friend in need. If he's in need, help a friend always. And then hopefully he'll be there for you 100%. And I noticed that people here, since I've been back, one good thing about Filipino culture is someone passes, they're all there to support. They are there. Now, do they care? One passes, you'll have the neighbors come, and the other neighbors, and the neighbors. It's a two-way street. But it's heavily, you guys know this, Christianity and Christians in the Philippines is a big thing. A lot of people go to church. A lot of people go to church when they can. Some go every day. We need to stand in awe of God. Guard your steps and listen to God always. If you make a vow to God, we always need to take a look and make sure that we do what our vow is. Because we talk about that in life, that if you tell God that you're going to do something, if He does this for you, and you don't do what He says you're going to do, it could be quite harmful for your rest of your life. Because when you're looking at God at the pathway, and He's getting ready to bring judgment on you. See, this is really something here in the same chapter in verse 3. It says, God will bring the judgment, both the righteous and the wicked. For there will be a time for every activity, a time for every deed. But remember, the deeds, God already knows how many good deeds you've done, and if you've done any good deeds, and if you haven't. Someone recently asked me for help on something. And the help was a simple help. But to me at the time, I just didn't want to do it. It was a simple thing. It was actually taking someone from point A to point B at a no-cost situation. And I said, what am I worried about? Of course I'll take you and your child to what you need to do. Of course I will. And if I'm in the area, call me. I'll pick you back up and bring you home. It's okay. Big deal. Doesn't cost me time. So this person called later on and said, no, thank you. I got a ride home. But I noticed something. The next morning I woke up and apparently this person found something and sent me a tip, $25. Don't underestimate who you're talking to. If someone asks for help, help them. It's like, how many times if you're waiting on your check and it's supposed to be there, it's not there and the bank kept it. And you're praying to the Lord, well, I really need this money because I got to pay the rent. That's the circumstances of all of us out there. And it happens to all of us. Not only rent, it's just life in general. What if you get hit with a $1,500 bill and you know you got rent coming up and other things are coming up and you need to pay another $1,500 or $2,000 or $3,000? Do you have $5,000 in your bank in cash? A lot of people don't. So what you have to do, you have to take that time and you have to really think about what you're doing in life. And are you really helping people? I'm really taking a look at that myself. So, like I said, this lady was on the street and it says a lot of people, they're just looking to get their next fix. They're begging for money. They're looking for the next fix. That's all we do when we chase some money, including me. I chase money in the car. So I'm learning to rethink, replan, and not necessarily kill myself in the car, but take care of the people around me. I ask for God to help bring people in front of me that I can help today. And so He does. I help what I can. I help. I don't know how anything. Never count, and I never count. So take a measure of your life. Measure on what you're doing in your life. God's watching. He's always telling. He's always keep an eye. And a lot of times when you go worship with God, and the hardest thing for, including myself, hardest thing for me to do is keep my mouth shut and listen, and not necessarily always. God has an answer for everything, and sometimes you don't have to say anything because God already knows, and He'll give you the answer that you're looking for in your mind, and even though you not mentioned it to Him, He already knows. So sometimes you just don't have to say anything, is what I'm saying. God already knows. I want to thank everybody for always watching my videos, and thank you so much for always watching. I want to thank everybody for spending the time today. God bless everybody. I'll see you guys next time on Wicked Gospel Reflections.